Good evening. Today is day 20 of demonetization. Today was supposed to be the Akrosh Divas, or the day of rage and anger. But a divided opposition meant a divided rage. The Congress had a bunch of rallies, so did Mamata Banerjee in Bengal. The left was planning a big Bharat Bandh, but that got scuttled. Basically, normal life went on as usual in most places in the country. Also today, the Modi government has just introduced a bill to amend the tax law so that you pay up to 50% in taxes on the other half that you keep. Now, many are calling this another voluntary disclosure of income scheme. The Congress party's already dubbed this Fair and Lovely Part 2. Will this voluntary disclosure at least help salvage demonetization? India at 9 begins right now. The Akrosh protests against demonetization across India, but they are overtaken by clear fissures within the opposition ranks. Each party's separate agenda stands out, and most conspicuously, the JDU's Nitish Kumar stays far and away. In fact, he's fully backing and endorsing the Prime Minister in this note ban. The other big development of the day, an income tax amendment bill has been introduced in the Lok Sabha. It looks to tax all unaccounted money flowing into the banking system after the demonetization announcement on the 8th of November. Sharp cuts in penalty proposed from 200% down to just about 50%. Part of those earnings will also go to the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. Full panel on the House tonight, and I have no hesitation in saying this is the best panel on TV tonight. Dr. Sanjaya Baru, policy analyst, Sachin Pilot of the Congress, GVL Narasimha Rao of the BJP, Pawan Kumar Verma of the JDU. Remember, they've been sitting out, in fact, of these protests today, and Sunil Alag, a veteran corporate voice, will be joining us tonight on our talking point, which will begin in just 5 minutes from now. While our guests will join us in just a few minutes, here are the other headlines that we're tracking this Monday night on India at 9. 2 out of the 6 prisoners who escaped the Nabha jail in Punjab on Sunday are nabbed. Security officials say the Khalistani terrorist Harminder Singh Mintu, who is among those caught, was in touch with Pakistani terrorists. They had plans to flee to Germany. 4 others are still on the loose. The Supreme Court extends Sahara chief Subrata Roy and his interim bail, but he's been asked to pay a whopping 600 crore rupees, an additional 600 crore rupees to SEBI by the 6th of February. But up first, today was billed as the Jan Akrosh Divas, the day of public anger. Demonstrations happened quite sporadically, one has to add, in different states. There were separate calls by different parties. In large parts of the country, normal life was relatively unaffected. There are some glaring fissures that have come out within the opposition ranks. The left parties, for example, wanted to have a Bharat Bandh. That idea was not acceptable to the TMC and later on the Congress too. The Congress pulling out of this idea of a Bharat Bandh, simply saying it will restrict itself to the Akrosh Divas. So there were rallies taken out by Mamata Banerjee in Kolkata. The Congress took out rallies in Delhi and Mumbai. But largely, normal life went on as usual. The one party that stuck out, breaking the opposition ranks, is the JDU of Nitish Kumar. They did not take part in any of the opposition rallies, neither did they have any kind of Akrosh rally of their own in Bihar. Sharad Yadav staying conspicuously out of the protests, even in Parliament today, even as Nitish Kumar voiced support for Mr. Modi and his demonetization move. Inside Parliament, there's very little headway. Another day of log jams, 9th straight day when no business has been transacted in either house. The opposition continuing its demand for the Prime Minister's presence in the House. It's likely that the Prime Minister would attend the House tomorrow. Whether or not he speaks on the floor, we'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, the government also introducing today a bill in the Lok Sabha to amend the tax laws to plug tax evasion. So eventually, if you have undisclosed income, you will have to pay up to 50% tax. That's the minimum, up to 50% tax on unexplained bank deposits. And then 25% of the remaining half that will go to the Pradhan Mantri Garib Yojana, which will be used for health and infrastructure as well as education projects. So these were the big developments that happened inside and outside Parliament. Let's bring you up to speed with political voices from both inside Parliament and, of course, outside from the various Akrosh rallies.
Why did Modi suddenly decide to demonetize? Now Modi wants to play God. This is dictatorship. Today I stand here and take an oath. Whether I live or die, I will remove Modi from politics.
Modi murdabad, murdabad, murdabad. Modi होश में आओ, होश में आओ, होश में आओ।
श्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने भारत बंद तो खुद ही कर दिया है। इसके लिए हमारी पार्टी जिम्मेवार नहीं है। इसको लेकर पूरा विपक्ष एकजुट है, उसमें कोई फूट नहीं है। प्रधानमंत्री जी को बैठना चाहिए और सबकी बात सुनने के बाद उनको अपना जवाब देना चाहिए।
The Prime Minister has virtually declared a Bharat Bandh. Prime Minister is disrupting the Parliament by not answering our questions. So he is responsible. जनता को परेशान करना बंद करो।
नरेंद्र मोदी ये बताएं दुनिया में किसी एक देश का नाम जहां किसी सरकार ने लोगों को अपने ही पैसे से वंचित कर दिया हो।
Honestly speaking, what are you doing? What is the point? I can't hear anything.
सारे देश की स्थिति खराब हो गई है।
देश में आर्थिक अव्यवस्था हो गई है।
हमारी सरकार ने जो यह फैसला लिया है वह फैसला ऐतिहासिक है, साहसिक है और साथ ही साथ प्रो पुअर है। मैं यह स्पष्ट करना चाहता हूं, यदि प्रतिपक्ष चाहता है कि प्रधानमंत्री भी आए तो प्रधानमंत्री जी आएंगे और जहां आवश्यक हुआ पूरे बहस में प्रधानमंत्री जी भी इंटरवेंशन करेंगे।
ये सवाल गंभीर है।
मैंने उनको
काले धन के खिलाफ में एक जंग है।
They are running away from a debate because they know that the logic does not have any substance. That you are not allowing the parliament to function, but the country is functioning. Because your so-called Akrosh is not finding resonance in the people of India.
So has the Akrosh Divas turned into a Nirasha Divas for the opposition? Let's try and put that to our Talking Point panelists. Joining us on the Talking Point panel tonight, Sanjaya Baru, policy analyst, Sachin Pilot of the Congress, GV Rao of the BJP, Pawan Kumar Verma of the JDU, and Sunil Alag, business consultant and founder of SK Advisors. Let me start with you, Sachin Pilot. It was supposed to be the Akrosh Divas. Did the Akrosh fizzle out? Not least because the opposition was not united. We had sporadic protests. Mamata Banerjee in Bengal, the Congress party in Delhi and Mumbai. Some of the major opposition parties just sat this one out, whether it's the JDU, whether it's the BSP and the SP.
You've heard many leaders speak. I think one thing is very clear. A few days ago in Parliament, more than 200 opposition MPs demanded something of the government, which was the Prime Minister to come and speak and clarify his stand. Today, across India, including my own party, we did not call for a Bharat Bandh. That is a mispropaganda. We never wanted to do Bharat Bandh. Bharat has been Bandh since November 9th. We wanted to portray people's feelings and we are within our duty to do that. Today was a day where people have felt that the promises made by the government of the day are not materializing. 19 days later, there is no respite. People are dying. There is absolute financial emergency in most parts of the country. I think it's a legitimate protest, and in a democracy, we are well within our rights to voice our concerns.
Fair enough, but why did we see that anger sort of resonate through the entire spectrum of the opposition? And more importantly, why aren't we seeing that anger resonate out on the street? People carried on with normal life as was usual through today, as they do every day.
Like I said, nobody called for a Bharat Bandh. We just wanted to demonstrate, protest, do a march, hold a rally, and to resonate with people's sentiments today. I don't think the idea was to shut down everything in this country. We are suffering as it is economically around the nation. We don't want to add to the people's woes. As far as the opposition is concerned, I think Mr. Nitish Kumar has taken a stand against, pro the demonetization. That's his personal stand. But every other single political party in the opposition is against the way it was done. Even my party has not asked for a rollback. All we are saying is ill-planned, it's badly executed, and an administrative failure of a size that we've never seen before. And the government must take into account the problems that people are facing. They're running away from that.
We've been documenting those problems here on television channels as well as in newspapers, but let me get GVL in. If I were to say to you, GVL, that with yesterday's rally that the Prime Minister did in Kushinagar, where he said, on the one hand, I'm trying to do Bhrashtachar ka Bandh, and the opposition is doing Bharat Bandh, did he take away the moral legitimacy that the opposition would have otherwise found in this Akrosh Divas? And is that perhaps the reason why the opposition was not on the same page in today's Akrosh Divas?
No. Yes, absolutely, Zaka, because for the first time in this country, you see a scared opposition telling the country, telling the media that we did not call for a ban, we did not strike, we did not want to strike work everywhere. I think you can see the pressure building on the opposition because there is overwhelming public support for the Prime Minister's demonetization drive, and what the pain that political parties, opposition parties are suffering is a political pain. And for their political pain, they are using public protest, and also they are using a parliamentary blockade. As far as the public is concerned, despite the inconveniences that the public have faced, they are overwhelmingly supporting the decision because they know it's in larger national interest.
But
I think if these parties only had public
I don't know
concerns,
whose
they would
idea.
have debated it in Parliament.
I'll come to Parliament and the lack of business in Parliament in just a moment. But I don't know whose idea it was, Dr. Baru, for this Bharat Bandh. I know this much, that Jairam Ramesh had to have a press conference where he clarified that the Congress party is not in favor of this idea of a Bharat Bandh. I mean, today life went on as normal as any other day. You're in Hyderabad and you tell me, is this a reflection that people have moved away from this politics of lockdown, hartal, shutdown, bandh? People want to get on with life. They already have enough problems with the implementation issues and demonetization. Why have a bandh on top of it?
You said people want to get on with life. Basically, people want some cash in their hands. So I don't know from where this idea of Bharat Bandh came, but it's obvious that the opposition has second thoughts on this. I don't know the origin of this whole idea, but it's very clear that whatever may be said about the larger good for the country, large number of Indian citizenry has been inconvenienced over the last 3 weeks. And I'm completely in favor of rooting out black money, but I think the government has to ask the question whether the way they've gone about it was the way to do it. Because there is large inconvenience to ordinary people. I've traveled in the last 3 weeks between Mysore, Bangalore, Bombay, Hyderabad, Delhi. I've gone around urban India. I don't know what's happening in rural India.
Sure.
But everywhere I agree. I don't think there's a mass anger. I don't think you'll get a successful Bharat Bandh. People are not going to come out onto the streets and join rallies because most of them are standing in queues. And I think the fact that we have forced people to stand in queues for 3-4 weeks and God knows for how long to get hold of cash that's needed, and to in a couple of days is the first of the month, salaries have to be paid. The overall messaging has been terrible. The idea is important, is good. I think India should be rid of black money. I think moving from a cash economy to a check-based and a card-based and a bank account-based economy is a positive movement, and the government should encourage that.
Okay.
But the way in which this has been done has inconvenienced millions of Indians.
Okay, if I were to, Pawan Kumar Verma is now joining us on the panel. Sir, if I were to very humbly say that one of the principal reasons why this Akrosh Divas failed was because the JDU, which was sort of the fulcrum of the opposition, if I may, during much of the Bihar elections, the JDU was the sort of center of the Mahagathbandhan, simply sat out this one. In fact, not just sat out, even today Mr. Nitish Kumar praised the Prime Minister for his initiative on demonetization. Is the JDU breaking opposition ranks?
I don't believe that is the inference you need to draw. The inference that you need to draw from the position Mr. Nitish Kumar and the JDU have taken is that he in particular, as the leader of the party, has had a very verifiable track record of taking a position after due application of mind and on the merits of the issue. Zaka, you'll recall that whether it was his breaking ranks with the NDA on who the candidate for the presidency should be, when Pranab Mukherjee was the one whom he supported, to the question of a consistent support on GST even when he was then with the NDA opposing it, to being one of the first to congratulate the government on the surgical strike and to felicitate our brave armed forces for the action taken. To demonetization now,
you're
he
a
has
veteran
taken a
politician.
position on merit.
No, one sec. You're a veteran politician. Nitish Kumar consistently backs. He's the one singular opposition voice who's consistently backed the demonetization move. Yesterday, Amit Shah, the BJP party president, publicly in a public rally congratulates Nitish Kumar. I'm a political novice, I agree. But seriously, if you were to tell me that, there's no churning happening, I think you're misleading our viewers. Please. Something is happening. Maybe we're not aware of the full contours of what is happening, but something is definitely brewing.
I think, Zaka, I must say to you what I know, and I must say that it's not as if I don't know anything. But at the moment, to draw this quantum jump inference is neither valid nor required. In fact, it's quite irrelevant.
Oh, okay. Can I get the BJP to respond to that? Can I get the BJP to respond to that? Then I'll get Sunil Alagh in. GVL, do you know more than what Pawan Kumar Verma knows about what's brewing between both your parties?
No, Zaka, I will only say that there is an uneasy alliance in Bihar. And certainly, Mr. Nitish Kumar, who is very conscious of his image, he would rather want to be seen with the Prime Minister who has a very, very clean track record, rather than being seen with a convicted Lalu Prasad Yadav and a corrupt Congress party.
Okay.
So his choice, he has made a wise choice. We certainly welcome that choice he has made, and he has done a favor certainly to the country and to himself, because he doesn't want to be seen on the corrupt side of the alliance.
Maybe unwittingly, but I think GVL, you've just given away what is Nitish Kumar's plan, that BJP is plan B. No. Come 2019. Pawan Kumar Verma, can you deny that you're having ally problems with Lalu Prasad Yadav?
I want to place on record that there are no problems in the Mahagathbandhan in Bihar, and I'm not getting into partisan politics vis-a-vis what Mr. Rao has said. The Bihar alliance is restricted to issues relating to Bihar. It is not a national alliance. In UP, we are going our separate ways. In UP, we are going our separate ways, and therefore, on a national issue, each of the three constituents are free to take a position as they deem best.
Let me infer this. So 2019, which is a national election, the JDU could take a national position which may seem on the face of it contradictory to the state position that they have taken vis-a-vis the Mahagathbandhan in Bihar. That window of opportunity is open.
Is specific to Bihar. That Mahagathbandhan by definition is specific to Bihar. I'm not saying something new.
Okay.
The Congress has other allies in other states. We have, in fact, he just returned from Punjab yesterday, where he opened a new unit of the Janata Dal United.
I think we've had from Pawan Kumar Verma and from GVL Narasimha Rao the clearest indication yet, and I'm choosing my words very carefully, the clearest indication yet that the window of opportunity is open from both sides. God knows, they say a week is a long time in politics. We've got 2.5 years before 2019. We'll see. But Sunil Alagh, before I move to the second part of our discussion, really this whole Akrosh Divas business, we were given to understand last week the opposition was protesting on two things. They wanted the Prime Minister to come to the House, and two, they wanted to wait and see how this Akrosh Divas plays itself out. And from whatever we've seen today, other than a few protests, the biggest of which was in Bengal, and no surprises there, really it has failed to find any enthusiasm among the Aam Aadmi. So will the opposition now have to redevise its strategy both inside and outside Parliament?
As far as demonetization is concerned, I agree with Sanjay Baru, where it could have been done better. There have been some flaws, and to say that it's a perfect system is wrong. But what most people that I'm talking to, the average man on the road and everybody else, says, look, 3 weeks have passed, we've already stood in lines, the lines are becoming smaller. They have learned that this is a fait accompli now. We have to have constructive suggestions as we move forward, rather than following what Mamta says as if there's going to be a rollback, you have a jaloos out. Can anything be done? The intelligent people who are going to vote know that this is all a political sham. We have to move on now.
No, but do you agree, Sunil Alag? No, do you agree, Sunil Alag, with what Dr. Baru said?
Talking about, I'll give you one example.
The biggest test of demonetization in these last 3 weeks is going to happen 2 days from now on the 1st of December. It's salary day for millions and millions of Indians. The government's real test will be how they handle salary day.
Absolutely, I agree. I absolutely, every day there are more and more money coming into the banks, more and more printing is taking place, and as far as Parliament is concerned, they want the Prime Minister to speak. When he came in, he was sitting and he was listening to it, and Mr. Jaitley was replying. He was sitting right next to him. They want to hear it from the Prime Minister. Before he could say anything, he realized that this was going to be once again when everybody is going to stop. So as far as he is concerned, he is waiting. And the longer, I'm now being on the side of the opposition to say, the longer they take and they keep on disturbing Parliament, the easier the situation is going to become. And therefore the Prime Minister will come along and say, yes, I did a few things, it should have been a little better, but the overall objective is right. And therefore we have to move forward now. Look, people were saying people are exchanging money for 30% more, 40% more. He's come up and saying, why do you want to pay the other guy? Pay the government, pay the tax, and live happily ever after.
I was just going to get to that.
Talk about
can I just play this for the benefit of our viewers? Today, day 20 of demonetization.
One last line, Zaka, just one last line.
Finish your point.
Right. Zaka, one last word. Every flip is pro-poor to make sure that demonetization is not a flop. So don't call it a flip-flop. Every day the government is open to suggestions. They are moving forward. This is there to stay. What the hell are we talking about? It could have been done better, couldn't have been done better. It's now just an intellectual discussion. It's over. Now let's move forward and say this is what we must do from today onwards.
I'll tell you why this is not just an intellectual discussion, because like you said, today on day 20 of demonetization, the government's put forth another proposal. This, by the way, is a bill that's been introduced in the Lok Sabha today. This is again combining voluntary disclosure with penal tax provisions. Can we just break that down for our viewers? So this is what the government's new bill, it's pending in the Lok Sabha, this is what it proposes. So if you have, say, for example, 100 crores of unexplained money or undisclosed income, then out of that 100 crores, as is expected, 30% is tax, so 30% goes away, that's 30 crores goes away. Then on top of that, you pay a 10% penalty, so that makes it 40 crores. And then on top of that, you pay 33% surcharge of the taxed amount. So if the taxed amount is 30 crores, then 33% of 30 crores works out to about 9.9 crores. So for 100 crores, it adds up, the whole thing, that's tax plus penalty plus surcharge, will add to about 49.9 crores, let's say 50 crores. So half of your money is gone in tax, surcharge plus penalty. Then the remaining half, the remaining 50 crores, 25% of that will go to a deposit scheme. It's called the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Deposit Scheme. It'll be kept with government for 4 years. You will not get any interest on it, but it'll be returned to you after those 4 years. Now, the interest that's accumulated in those 4 years will then be used by the government to fund projects in infrastructure, health, education, what have you. So, Dr. Baru, we had a lot of folks come over the last 2-3 weeks, particularly, bureaucrats who've served in the finance ministry. And I remember very clearly CM Vasudev, who used to be former finance secretary, say this very clearly, that when the government had this income disclosure scheme, which went on till 30th of September, it would have been much better if they timed income disclosure with demonetization, because it gives the black money holders an incentive to come clean. This, what has been introduced in the Lok Sabha today, is also some form of income disclosure. Do you think this will sort of soften the blow and perhaps as a result even salvage the move, demonetization, as we've seen it play out over the last 3 weeks?
Well, I certainly hope it does and serves some purpose. But you know, Zaka, the real thing all these moves tell me is of a major intervention made in the system without adequate homework. Because it's almost like people, these 4 or 5 chaps in government, in the Ministry of Finance, in the Prime Minister's office, and I don't know where else, are thinking on their feet. What we have done is to inject a massive shock into the entire system. I am not against going after black money. I am not against demonetization as an idea. But the way in which this shock has been administered, and now all these various rollbacks or palliatives that are being introduced, give the impression that the government was not very clear what it wanted to do. And that may not be the fact. Maybe the government exactly knows what it wants to do. In which case, as I've been arguing for the last several days, there's a massive communication failure. You have not been able to communicate. It took 3 weeks for the governor of the central bank to come out and communicate. The chief economic advisor of the government has not come out and communicated.
Exactly.
We have reduced the whole thing to a political battle. I mean, I like Mr. GVL Narasimha Rao, is a friend of mine. I like all the other spokespersons of different political parties. But television discussions, media discussions have all become discussions between political representatives. Where are the spokespersons of the government? Where are the economic advisors of the government? This is about my money. I don't want to hear some politician tell me that my money is safe. I want to hear it from responsible functionaries, from the macroeconomic authorities of the government.
We've only heard
is about trust.
After 20 days, we've heard from the Reserve Bank governor yesterday in an interview to PTI. We haven't heard a word from the chief economic advisor. GVL,
the macroeconomic authorities. I mean, we are a modern economy.
Exactly.
We are a modern economy.
The problem is, and this is. I mean, the fear is that the government is just winging this whole thing. With each new day, you discover a new problem, and then you find a solution to that new problem. You haven't thought through this, like war gaming. You haven't thought through this for what the ultimate goal is. Because Dr. Baru is right. The narrative has now changed even from the government's point of view. What started off as a war on black money, corruption, etc. Yesterday, if you listen to the Prime Minister's Mann Ki Baat, it was much more about going cashless, from less cash to then cashless, basically urging the young people of the country to go plastic. I mean, what is the government's objective out of this whole thing?
No, Zaka. No, please give me time. I think all these ideas are interconnected. I don't know why you think these are not connected to each other. First of all, 70 years of a passive fight against black money. There was no fight at all worth its name. Either you continue with that passivity, or you accept this as a fact of life, we refuse to fight it, or you take a bold decision and be prepared to handle all the consequences. So, being a people's Prime Minister, this is what Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi chose to do. He's been elected to make a difference to this country, not to run this country for 5 years as a bureaucrat, as possibly Dr. Manmohan Singh, because he's a people's leader. He's accountable directly to the people of the country. So he chose this as a method. It's clearly even shifting over to a less cash economy is to end your parallel economy, is to bring more transactions under the scanner.
So how come we haven't heard from the chief economic advisor?
It becomes
how come it took 20 days to hear from the Reserve Bank governor?
Finance minister. No, the finance minister has been speaking. He's given many interviews. You have various ministers speaking. You have Vivek Debroy giving interviews to people. So every functionary in the government need not speak. Why should it be that only a particular functionary should speak? You have had Shaktikant Das speaking on this from day one. Every day he's been speaking to the media.
Dr. Baru, you want to quickly respond before I go back to Sachin Pilot, please?
No, I mean...
Yeah, we haven't heard from Arvind Panagaria, for example, who's one of the foremost economists in this government.
Zaka, just let me clarify what I'm saying. I'm not talking about which individual speaks. I'm saying that we have actually reduced this entire issue to a political battle. It's about Mamata Banerjee and Nitish and different political leaders taking different positions. I'm saying what we have done is a major economic intervention. It's a fundamental economic intervention in the Indian economy. And I, as a person who has saved my money in the Indian banking system, want to have the assurance that I can access my money, that when I go to the bank tomorrow morning, I can draw my cash, that I don't have to go through this tortuous process of going every day and to an ATM and seeing that there's no cash there. You know, I have rights as a citizen, and if the government has a problem, it should communicate and come up front and communicate through not political spokespersons, but through responsible macroeconomic authorities who command the respect of economic functionaries.
It's ironic because this government is known for its communication, but I want to bring Sachin Pilot back into the discussion. Today we had Amit Shah as well as the Prime Minister tweet about the elections that happened in Maharashtra. In fact, Amit Shah went on to say that the BJP has won the local body elections in Maharashtra, and this is a wake-up call for all political parties who are opposed to demonetization. Now, the BJP has been saying this. You know, last week we also had results of by-elections where the BJP seems to have done well in states where generally it did not do well. If this is the mood of the nation, Sachin Pilot, then is the Congress party, other opposition parties guilty of misreading the mood of the nation?
Now, I've heard everybody very patiently. Kindly allow me to respond. Number one, nobody is against fight for corruption, fight against black money, so on and so forth. Every citizen supports any governments, any initiative to fight terror and to do against drug mafia. The initial intent on November 8th was Pakistan is sending forged notes. We have to stop that. It's corruption, it's nationalistic, it's pro-India. Let's do it. Now the game is changed to cashless, to be e-banking and to do on so forth. If you want to teach someone how to swim, you throw them in the swimming pool, not in the ocean. On November 9th, Prime Minister of India and the Government of India should have announced a Government of India e-wallet. They should have had an application that is not owned by a company that has majority stake from China. I want to secure my data, Zaka. Why should I use a private entity and do all my transaction on a private company, which is putting the PM's face in the front page of the newspapers? They're shifting the goalposts. The pivot is all about emotions, rhetoric. Who are the people defending the government? Not the RBI governor, not the official spokesperson, but Swami Ramdev and Ravi Shankar are defending the economic policies of the government. Let's talk facts. You were sitting and discussing this in English. What about the rural poor? The Rabi sowing season is already delayed. People are starving. The wage earners, the rickshaw pullers, the cash transactions are not all black. People have to realize the reality of India. Take the step, but for God's sake, be prepared. Have the money printed. Why the lines are getting short on ATMs? Because the money is run out. 50 days will get over soon. People don't have food to eat in rural parts of India. The tribal belts, people are getting extorted because of the old money is being exchanged for lesser notes. There is a scam going on everywhere. Government must use all the resources to consult, to debate, to ask, to listen to people and then act. You cannot act on a whim and then act so arrogant as if you won't even allow the opposition to speak. I am within my right to oppose. It is my job. I want to oppose what I feel is wrong. But you can't stifle the voice. That is exactly what the BJP wants everyone to do.
What about the results of the elections? What about the results of the elections?
Democracy.
No, what about the results of the elections? Amit Shah has tweeted this, saying that this is a reflection of the nation's mood.
TMC won in Zaka. TMC won in Bengal. BJP is ruling Assam, they won there. Whichever party is ruling whatever state by-elections, they win. I don't think a local municipal election is a referendum on the whole process. The execution is the problem. Demonetization is not the problem per se. It is the ill-thought-out, badly executed administrative failure, colossal failure. Government must accept that fact, and that is why we're protesting. Today, I met the governor of Rajasthan. Hang on. I told the governor the state government should open up kiosks for tourists. They're struggling. They're getting ripped off every day. Who's helping them? Who's helping the farmers and the daily wage earners? No one's coming out in their support.
Okay, let me go back to Pawan Kumar Verma. We are at the halfway point of the Modi government. On the 26th of November, Mr. Modi completed 2.5 years in office. Now, economists of varying degrees of repute have questioned the basis of the demonetization, whether the economic gains out of it will be as much as is touted, so on and so forth. I can name anyone from Larry Summers to Kaushik Basu today writing in the New York Times. So if economics is not the fundamental goal of this, if it's about politics, do you believe that demonetization is the big Brahmastra that Mr. Modi has to win a re-election? He's made no bones of the fact that he wants 10 years in office, that he wants a second term. Is this his Brahmastra as the farm loan waiver was to the UPA back in 2008, 2009?
Zaka, I think the jury is out. As many of your panelists have said, it's a move whose intent is right. Now we have to see in the course of implementation that it achieves the goals for which the step was taken. People have, I believe, so far given the benefit of doubt to the government. However, if the dislocation that it has caused in a transient manner becomes far more prolonged, I think the inflection point will come where instead of being a Brahmashastra, people will question why it was taken in a manner which was so ill-prepared for.
Let me put it to you this way. Let me put it to you this way. And people are already talking about this. Pawan Kumar Verma, people are already talking about this, that the deposits that are mopped up as a result of this obviously will lead to enhanced tax collections for the government. If at some point, maybe the next year, next 18 months, if the government were to transfer some of that money into Jan Dhan accounts, direct benefit transfer, direct cash benefit transfer, that would be a game changer electorally.
I think that the whole purpose of the exercise, if it is linked to a series of further actions which actually demonstrates the transference of wealth or the dividend that has come to the Reserve Bank as a result of extinguished money, which could be 2 or 3 or 4 lakh crores, depending on what estimate you believe, 3 lakh crores, then I think this move, in spite of the temporary dislocation to the economy, will benefit the common man. Now, whether it will become a game changer politically is peering into the future, into a crystal ball on which I am not going to comment.
No,
but I think
no,
this move, unless it's accompanied by many other moves, doesn't make sense.
Well, the Prime Minister has already said that there will be other moves. He's already said that there will be other moves.
I believe it should go beyond.
No, so Sunil Alak, my point is, so ultimately, if politics is the ultimate sort of objective of this, then what will be the success or failure of demonetization? How do we know at the end of 50 days that yes, this has worked, or yes, this is a failure?
You know, look, there are two things which are very important, and you got to see that Mr. Modi is generally a man who thinks 6 months ahead of everyone else.
Yes.
If he has done this particular move and it's the only move he's going to make, it's going to be an absolute disaster. But you watch what he does on 30th December, you watch what he does in the budget, which is all in his mind. He's got the roadmap already, he's not announced it. What Sanjay Baru has said is the most important thing. If he had come out in the beginning and said, look, this is going to take 2 months, this is going to take 3 months, tell people to relax, I'm part of you, the communication has not been correct. And if it had been there, the nation is ready to support the Prime Minister, stand in lines and do this for the nation. So there's been a lack of communication. People are going all over the place regardless of what GVL says. I'm a great supporter of Modi, but I say the communication is coming in
That's the fault of people like GVL then, that the communication has been mismanaged.
People, all right, now now 1 second, let me, now 1 second thing. The second thing is, if the tax rates come down in the 1st of Feb, if by January people have cash, everybody is going to forget these 2 months and 3 months. It's not a political move. Mr. Modi is wanting to change the nation and saying, look, cash for elections, cash in the market. We are 2% of our economy pays taxes. And everybody, you go abroad, you ask for a 400 euro change. They will say, don't you have a credit card? Here you take out a credit card and they say, don't you have cash? Now he wants to change that concept, and it's 80 or 90% in the United States where they use the credit card for even $5.
No, but you have to understand. We have a real long way to go. We have light years to go.
So please understand.
Can I just put this up? 1 second.
No.
It's all very well. It's all very well, Sunil Alak.
No, 1 second.
It's
I'll
all
just say
very
one
well
last point. Zaka,
one last point. Let me just put this out. I will give you
one last point.
I will give you that. I will give you that.
I'll just say one sentence. One sentence for 30 seconds.
Okay, finish.
I'll just finish that.
Yeah, finish.
And then after that, the 30 seconds. Now look, I've got 2 domestic helps and 2 chauffeurs. I've got them to open accounts. If everybody looks after 4 or 6 people, you watch how the nation can do it, rather than just saying this is wrong, this is how it should have been done. It's done.
Okay.
Good, bad or ugly, it's there. Are we stepping out and helping?
One sec.
Are we helping everyone or not?
First of all,
have constructive ideas and the government is willing to listen.
If the move has greatly, led to great amounts of discomfort to millions of people, then I think that needs to be reflected, and we are reflecting that. Number one. Number two, I am all for going plastic. I'm all for going cashless. But the fact is, and the reality is this: in a country of 125 crore Indians, we have just 14 lakh debit and credit card machines. We have just a little over 2 crore debit cards. Okay, the World Bank says 53% of Indians are banked, have access to the financial system. So you have another 45, 47% that are unbanked.
Phones. Go to an e-wallet.
The fact of the matter is, you're not going to change that, Sunil Alagh, whether you like it or not, in 50 days. You cannot, and you will not.
Zaka.
Okay, GVL.
Zaka, can I?
Yes,
it won't happen in 50 days. No. It's wrong to think it's going to happen in 50 days.
Okay.
As Pawan and all of us are saying, it's going to take some time.
Got it. GVL now. GVL.
Yeah. I think you are making a fundamental mistake.
Which is what?
I think please go back to please go back to the speech that Prime Minister made in SRCC when he started his campaign for Prime Minister. He says, I am an optimist. I want to look at positive side of life. I want to make things, change things for the better. In this country, you have had a mindset and you have accepted corruption as a way of life, black money as a way of life, using only cash where payment could be done in other ways as a way of life. Prime Minister wants to make a big difference, and that's what people of the country are supporting him overwhelmingly for. This is the real problem. You all want to stay back with this in the same old mindset. You want the same vested interest to prevail. I think it doesn't suit a lot of people to go into e-commerce. So I think Prime Minister is being appreciated for his boldness, for changing things,
listen,
for
the point
about
is
a reform.
No, the point, I agree. I mean, I'm all for reform, but I don't think reform involves waiting outside an ATM for 6 hours or 8 hours to get your own money. Quick closing comment, 30 seconds to both Sanjay Baru as well as to Sachin Pilot. No, you say it'll get over in 50 days. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I have to wait for December 1st.
Yes.
And I fear the worst. I fear the worst on December 1st.
Things are...
Sanjay Baru.
GVL, hang on, GVL. Just listen to one thing. It's not about you having good intentions, the Prime Minister having good intentions, and all of us not having good intentions. That is not the way in which a ruling government communicates to the people. You have good intentions, but when people are suffering as a result of your good intentions, you need to be able to take them along. It is not enough to say I'm willing municipal elections in Maharashtra and therefore people are with me.
Yeah.
The fact is that there's been a day-to-day dislocation of the livelihoods of individual people across the country. That's the reality. And we are not questioning the motives of either the Prime Minister or the ruling party. But for heaven's sake, couldn't you have done this better? Or if you decided suddenly to do it and then inform the rest of the system, it has taken almost 3 weeks for the rest of the system to really catch up.
Yeah.
And you have time till 31st of December. But by 31st of December, for heaven's sake, get the system moving and communicate.
I hate to say this, but I'll be happy to be proven wrong. I'll be happy to be proven wrong. By the 31st of December, I don't think, out of the 14 lakh odd crores that have gone out of circulation, I don't think the government can even put back half of that money back into circulation. Sachin Pilot, I'll give you the final comment, 30 seconds. I have to wrap up.
I just want to end by saying that we should be all together in a fight against corruption, but one must not start preaching without looking into their own self. The BJP should actually disclose and be the first to disclose how much funds they received when they fought elections. Why should you point fingers at others? The intentions are all very well, but the execution is job of the government, not the party. It's not the BJP, it's the government of India that people look up to. They must come out and reassure the people of India that they will support them in their hour of need.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Just one sentence.
10 seconds, GVL. 10 seconds. I always indulge you for 10 seconds. Yes. No more than 10 seconds.
Okay. Okay, I think Prime Minister is the best communicator. I think without such communication, 86% of this country would not be supporting the move.
Okay.
Same line.
We'll also
from the beginning till the end.
The people
We'll
are
also wait.
siding with us
We'll also wait for him to communicate in Parliament. That hasn't happened in these last 3 weeks. Thank you very much, GVL Narasimha Rao, Pawan Kumar
Provide
Verma,
the
Sunil Alagh,
opposition
Sachin Pilot, and Sanjay Baru. I'm sure we'll have you all more as the days go by, because this story is not going off the headlines. Like Dr. Baru said, and I agree with him 100%, the biggest challenge in these last 3 weeks is going to come in 2 days from now, on the 1st of December, when it's salary day for millions of Indians. If the government's not able to, meet the crazy demand for money, for people's hard-earned money, then I think the mood could very well, and that's the big risk that the government has to factor in, the mood could very well flip in a matter of a few days. That's a wrap of India at 9. On the other side, the news that wasn't. Thanks for tuning in.